Picture it. The roar of the crowd, the blinding flash of the lights. A single perfect punch lands, and a champion starts to crumble. For millions of us, that's the peak of entertainment, a raw display of strength, courage, and pure will. But what really happens after the final bell rings? What's left when the cheers fade and a fighter has to live out the rest of their life, alone with the bill for our entertainment?
That knockout we just pictured? We pay to see it. We cheer for the kind of brutal violence that pushes a fighter one step closer to a brain disease that has no cure. This isn't just about the sport of boxing. This is the story of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, the silent killer that's been haunting the ring for decades. It's about how a sport we love makes its money from a system that leaves its greatest heroes completely and utterly shattered.
When you think of boxing, you think of Muhammad Ali. He wasn't just a fighter. The man was a force of nature. He could float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and his personality was just as powerful as his right hook. But the very same ring that turned him into a global icon also became the stage for his longest and most brutal fight. In 1984, only 3 years after his last match, Ali was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. The world watched as the man whose voice once shook entire rooms was slowly silenced, his own body betrayed by tremors and stiffness. Now, can anyone prove that boxing alone caused it? Honestly, it's impossible to know for sure, and even his doctors couldn't agree. But what isn't up for debate is that repeated head trauma is a massive risk factor for diseases that destroy the brain. Many neurologists believe the thousands of blows to the head he took were a major reason for his decline. Ali's tragic journey gave the public a front-row seat to the sport's darkest secret. Worst part is, he's just the most famous case. Boxing history is filled with champions who faded away into confusion, paranoia, and dementia. This isn't just a string of bad luck. It's a pattern. It's the result of a disease born from getting hit in the head over and over again. So, what exactly is CTE? Imagine a brain injury happening in slow motion. It isn't caused by that one big dramatic knockout. It's the result of hundreds, even thousands of smaller hits, the ones that don't knock you out, but still rattle the brain inside the skull. With every single one of those impacts, a protein in the brain called tau can get damaged and start clumping together, creating toxic tangles. These tangles spread through the brain like a fire you can't see, killing brain cells and causing devastating symptoms. And the worst part? The symptoms often don't show up for years, sometimes decades, after a boxer finally hangs up the gloves. It starts small, things like memory loss, mood swings, depression, or a lack of impulse control. As it gets worse, it can lead to severe dementia, slurred speech, and symptoms that look just like Parkinson's. The science here is grim. Once this process gets started, it's believed to be irreversible. And because CTE can only be truly diagnosed after death through an autopsy, fighters are often battling this invisible enemy completely in the dark.
This isn't just about a few sad stories. Studies have shown that a huge percentage, around 20%, of professional boxers show clear signs of chronic brain injury. Research consistently points to the same thing. The longer a fighter's career and the more fights they have, the higher their risk.
But here's the sport's dirtiest secret. A lot of this damage doesn't happen on fight night under the bright lights. It's happening behind closed doors, in the gym, during sparring. Fighters go through countless rounds of sparring to get ready for one single bout, and they often take more punishment in training than they do in the actual fight. A 2019 study found that even one 9-minute sparring session could temporarily mess with memory and weaken the brain's connection to the muscles. And in the gym, there are no doctors ringside to stop the fight. There's just a culture of toughing it out, where fighters are taught to never, ever admit they're hurt. This vicious cycle of damage is built right into the business model. The spectacle of violence is what sells tickets and pay-per-views. The promoters, the networks, and yes, even us, the fans. We are all part of a system that rewards fighters for taking these incredible risks, creating a brutal structure where a fighter's health always comes second to our entertainment. From the knockouts we cheer for to the brutal, hidden wars in the gym, boxing leaves a scar you can't see. The very things that make a fighter a hero, their courage, their resilience, their willingness to take a punch and keep moving forward, are the exact same things that lead to their silent destruction. They are celebrated for the sacrifices they make inside the ring, only to be left to face the devastating fallout by themselves long after the crowds have all gone home. The sport has given us some of history's most inspiring heroes, but it has also left a long trail of broken men. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what responsibility do the fans and promoters have to actually protect the fighters they claim to celebrate?